Welcome to Candid Créoles, where we elevate and celebrate Haitian excellence and friends. Today, we have Lloyd Hardy as our guest, and we continue with our series, The Emerging Leaders. And the emerging leaders is it's basically set for the youngsters amongst us, and that starts from age 18 to age 29. And we just want to hear about what they're doing in their lives and also where they're leading their lives. So, and how. And today, Lloyd joined us from Orlando. And Lloyd was born in Brooklyn, New York, and smart kid, moved to Orlando, Florida, and he fell into street activities after high school with partyings, girls, drugs, and other activities. And then he went to the Air Force. He basically went to the Air Force to change his life. So today we're going to discuss, as we get to know Lloyd, we're going to discuss what took him from where he was to where he is today, and basically what other youngsters can learn from him. So we trust you would appreciate this conversation. Welcome, Lloyd.
Definitely. I'm glad to be here.
Great. Well, I'm glad to have you here as well. Thank you. We are live on our private group and on Facebook, and this is being recorded. And with your permission, it will be also posted on other social media channel, meaning publicly. If you don't want to, we won't post it. Like it will go on YouTube as well. Do we have your permission to do that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I had a good day. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I had a good day too. That's great. And so what's your connection with Haiti? I know you were born here. What's your connection with Haiti?
Right. So like you said, I was born in New York, Brooklyn, to be exact. My parents were born in Haiti, both my mother and my father, but I've never been there yet. I do plan on visiting next year. Lord willing, we know it's a lot of crazy things going on, COVID, things of that nature. But I do plan on visiting very soon. I've yet to be a visit there. But obviously I'm Haitian American. I love my culture. I love my people. And yeah, that's my connection to Haiti.
Okay, beautiful. So what do you love most about the Haitian culture?
Man, that's a good question. I was going to say the food. But
that's came to mind too, by the way.
I
was saying like our food.
Right. That was the first thought I was gonna say, but then I thought about it.
There's more to it. There's more than
right.
That.
There's more to it. I think I'm gonna say the story. I'm gonna say our story as a people, where we come from, our history, how we revolted with the first Black Republic, First Nation to free ourselves. I think that's very important in world history. And I think that's probably the most important thing about our culture.
Yeah, definitely. And so you mentioned that you were a street kid. And I remember when you first said that to me, and I actually completely misunderstood what that meant. I had no idea that's what that meant because I took it a different way. And then you said, no, this is what it means. So tell us about that, because if I'm like that, if I didn't know, other people may not know as well.
Yeah, so I can't talk too much about it. You know, I can't get.
Don't tell me much.
Right.
We want more information. We just want you to just let us know what, basically confirm what I just said in the introduction.
Yeah.
I don't
need
more details in that.
For sure. Yeah, that was just a disclaimer. So like you said, you know, in school, started hanging around with the wrong crowd. So one thing leads to the next. You know, before I knew it, I ended up in the streets. Now that's not a literal meaning homeless. That's more of a figurative term where, you know, just as a young kid out and about outside every day, have no real intention of going home or really have any plans for the future. Just kind of seeing what the world brings to you on a daily basis. And most of the time it's dangerous. So, you know, I dibbled and dabbled. You mentioned drugs. You know, I sold, bought, everything, just in the streets. Like I said, I don't want to get too much into it. I don't want to promote that lifestyle, but I was able to eventually realized that once the police started to get word of my name, I started to get word that the police was finding out who I was, what I was doing. And my mother started to get suspicious as well. And the trifecta is that I had opposition as well. One of the things in the streets is that, you know, when you're doing good, you have other people on the other side who don't like that. They don't like to see that. So they'll come after you, essentially. So that may be directly or indirectly. They may send a decoy, perhaps somebody you know. So it gets very tricky in the streets as far as trust, you know, and things of that nature. So once all these things started to happen, I started to realize I didn't want to be in that lifestyle anymore. There wasn't really anybody I could trust. And I started to feel like I was going to end up dead or in jail any day. So to be honest, long story short, I decided to make a decision to go to the Air Force. To be honest, it was my mom's idea. She brought it to me and she nagged me about it for about 3 months.
Right?
Yeah, she nagged me about it. I didn't really listen for about 3 months until eventually I looked into it and decided to go.
Okay, so basically, when you are in the studio, you're basically living day by day,
Yeah.
and then it's don't even count tomorrow.
Mom calling me. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
That was my mom calling me.
That's interesting. We're just talking about her.
That's funny.
Yes, and then so you went to the Air Force. So she's calling you again. You want to text her and tell her you want to call?
Yeah, let me text her back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
My phone on do not disturb.
Okay. Give us a few minutes. Lloyd will be right back. Okay. I should have had a commercial in between, right?
You should have. Add that later.
Yes. So your mom influenced you to basically join the Air Force. Why the Air Force and not the Army, or why the Air Force or the Navy?
Right. That's a good question. To be honest, that's a question for my mom. I never really asked her because I kind of assumed that she knew that if it wasn't the Air Force, it wasn't going to be anything. You know, Army, Navy, Marine, that wouldn't have flown with me. I would have looked at her like she was crazy.
Okay, got it. So she knows you as a mother well enough to know what will get to you to change your life.
Yeah, I'll say that.
To change your life. Okay. So when you went to the Navy, I'm sorry, to the Air Force, my apologies. When you went to the Air Force, what was attractive about that for you?
To be honest, the way it was explained to me, my mother actually got a close friend of mine who was a neighbor. He was like a big brother to me, a big brother figure. We played basketball all the time. I didn't even know he was in the Air Force. Just one day he came to me and he said, "Hey, your mother told me to talk to you about getting your life serious." Boom, boom, boom. I was in the Air Force. Here's what it was like for me. And here's what it could be like for you. So this was, out of nowhere, mind blowing. I've been friends with him for years, looked at him as a big brother. Out of nowhere, he says he was in the Air Force, right? So automatically he's an influence on me, right?
Of course.
So automatically, I'm gonna trust that if he did that, then I can do that or should do that. And basically he broke it down where, it's like college. That's the way he explained it to me, where, you're on base and you have free food and free gym and free this and free that, and all that free sounded good to me. So
yeah. So you
lifestyle.
Yeah, it's just a lifestyle. So when you went to the Air Force, where did you go? You were still in New York at that time, right?
No, and this time I was already in Florida, Orlando.
You were already in Florida. So where were you stationed at?
So from Florida, I went to Texas for training, and then I got stationed in Texas, another part of Texas for schooling, technical schooling. Okay. Once I finished all of my schooling, they sent me off to Alaska.
Okay. How was Alaska?
It was crazy.
It was crazy?
Yeah.
What made you say that?
It was cold.
Yeah, yes, I've been to Alaska, but not during winter, during summer, and I still had some cold days. Yes, Alaska is crazy cold, crazy cold.
Yeah,
I want to make sure that's what you meant. I wasn't sure that's
yeah,
exactly what you meant.
it's a lot
That
of
was
wild
crazy cold.
animals around, deer, bears,
Which
walking around.
which city were you in Alaska?
Anchorage.
In Anchorage. Okay. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, Alaska, that was a shock. Completely different lifestyle from Orlando to Alaska.
Yeah,
From
well,
Orlando to Texas to Alaska.
Which
Yes.
Texas was that dry heat. I was used to
Yes.
some humidity in Florida, but in Texas, they put me in some dry heat. I
Yeah.
thought I was going to see a dust bunny or something. And then they sent me to Alaska,
Yeah.
and that was complete opposite. And I was there for the winter. I know you mentioned you was there in the summer. I experienced the whole winter, which is about 6 to 8 months long.
Yeah.
It's mostly dark most of the time. Most of the day
Yeah.
is
No
dark
sun.
out.
Yeah.
With that being said, there was a couple of times where I checked my phone and it was negative 20, 25 degrees.
Mm.
Negative.
Yeah, that would have been rough on me.
It was rough.
What did you learn from when you were in the as an Air Force, as an airman? What did you learn?
I learned a lot. Definitely discipline. I learned that mind is truly over matter. You have no idea how far your body can go and how far your brain can go if you just decide not to quit. It's about the decision.
The decision you made, and then the determination to not to move forward.
There it is right there, the will to win.
Yeah, the will to win. Yeah. So were you happy with your decision?
At the time or now?
Well, I would say now, of course, now.
Yeah, now. You're asking right now?
Yes, I would like for you to tell me right now, are you happy with your decision to go to the Air Force? And also, how was it for you at the beginning as well?
Right now, I'm still receiving blessings from that decision. I'm going to the Air Force every day, so I'm definitely grateful for that. The position that I have, the career that I have right now, is directly a result of my Air Force experience. So most definitely, I think it was a good decision now. And at the time back then, I didn't know what I was getting into. And that's what I would say for anybody thinking about the military. Look into it more than I did. I kind of did a search one time. My big brother talked to me, and then I made a decision. Right?
Yes.
I didn't really look into it as far as, okay, what is the training that's going to entail. But I was a cocky, confident kid, so I didn't care. I knew I could handle anything. But I will say, I wish I prepared myself more for the physical and the mental turmoil that you'll be going through.
Yeah, yeah, because that was completely new to you. So you don't have regrets that you did it, but it was rough at the beginning because you were not prepared.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing you say. Correct. Perfect. So what did you love most about it?
About the Air Force?
Yes.
What did I love most about it? I never thought about that. There was a lot of pros and cons. I would say the status.
The status.
The respect that comes with that status of being in the military, especially the Air Force, which is the most prestigious branch of the military. So especially being in uniform, walking around, thank you for your service, across the street. I'd say, and just in general, just, that feeling that, you're in the military, you do feel good as a man, when you're going through that. So I'll say status.
For you.
What was that?
That opened doors for you as well, being in the military.
A lot of doors, relationships, respect.
Yeah, I get that. So now, coming to your life where you are today, I know you work for a bank.
Yes, ma'am.
And you also mentioned like cryptocurrency when we talk. So do you want to tell us a little, what can you tell us about that? How did you get there? Basically is what I'm asking.
Well, it's a crazy story, to be honest. Just kind of drifting apart and kind of just landing where you're supposed to be kind of thing. That's kind of how I'll describe it, for lack of better terms. because
Let me take you back then, because
yeah,
you drifting apart. So when you left the army, what was next?
right. So when I left the Air Force, what was
The Air
next?
Force. I keep
Yeah,
saying my apology. My apologies.
and we didn't talk about this. But when I left the Air Force, I didn't know what was next.
Okay.
To put it that way. I knew I didn't want to be in the military anymore. They kind of broke my back, so I didn't know what I wanted to do. So essentially, I didn't do anything. I kind of just went back to the streets. Went back to some of those old relationships. Some of those old relationships were still there. They weren't. I didn't sever them.
Mm-hmm.
So I continued to make mistakes that I made before the military, after the military.
Mm.
So there was a couple of years of that.
Okay.
And like I said, I won't get too much in detail. I want to keep this positive
Yes, I
message.
get it.
But eventually, I'm working every now and then. I pick up a job. So I started working at Nike. Loved that job. Did great sales. Every job I've ever worked or every position I've ever been in, I've always succeeded at a high level, right? So with me, it was kind of, and there's a pro and con to that. When you feel like you can do anything, you kind of stagnate because it's like, what do I choose? What do I pick? Because I can do anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's different when you know exactly this is for me. This is what I'm here to do. And I kind of feel like I can do anything. What should I do? So that's kind of how I was feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So long story short, I ended up working at the men's warehouse, suits for guys, tuxedos, weddings. I was actually a stylist.
My son's what's that thing that you have for high school? I forgot.
The prom?
Yes, that's where I bought.
Yeah, that's where everybody goes.
That's where we go to. We bought the suit.
Yeah, exactly. Weddings, graduations, corporate parties.
Yes,
that's where people went. So I was actually a stylist where people come in there, they have no idea. They say, hey, here's my wife, we're getting married. What should we do? And I would, help them pick the colors, help them pick everything and style their wedding. So I did that for a couple of months because I've always had style. That's something I've always been into. So that's when COVID-19 hit. I got let go. Nobody was buying suits. Everybody was scared. When COVID-19 was fresh and new, they let everybody go. So I was without a job. Lo and behold, Wells Fargo calls me. This is in June 1st, 2020. I'll never forget it. Mm-hmm. Wells Fargo, they call me. Literally pick me up off the street. I don't have a job at this point. I don't have a degree at this point. And I would, they picked me up off the street, right? So long story short, they said they saw my resume on Indeed. I had just put my military experience on Indeed a few months prior to that. So when I got out the military, I was kind of drifting apart. I didn't put my military experience on my resume. Then in January of 2020, I decided to go ahead and put it on there. And I started to receive a lot of calls, this and that. And by June, Wells Fargo called me and they wanted to start me at $25 an hour, which was way more than I ever made before. So it's, the rest is history. I'm still with Wells Fargo right now.
Yeah. And then the position where you started is not where you are right now. You move.
Right. I've elevated a couple levels. Right.
Yes. That's great. Because, and again, that's a blessing from the military.
Right,
because
exactly.
You did not put the military, you didn't receive any call. And in the minute you change your resume, the phone started to ring.
Right.
Because a lot of companies, that's what they're looking for, people who were in the military somehow. And they want to make sure they provide job because you serve your country and you deserve to get a good job. That's really great. And so now you've been at Wells Fargo for how long?
About a year and a half. We're in October now, so about a year and 4 months.
Yeah, and within
3 months.
A year and 3 months, so which means it's less than 2 years, and you've already been moved up a few levels.
Right.
That says a lot about your character.
Thank you.
That says a lot about your character. And it's great that when you are shifting the wrong path to redirect yourself to the right path. Yeah,
I'm glad you said that.
Character to do that too. Yeah.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And there will be youngsters watching this, and I
Mhm.
trust they will learn from you because you always the point of this group that you are in, a celebration of Haitian excellence. I'm going because you just joined. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. It
Yes.
started really so we can learn to appreciate Haiti because Haiti, there is a narrative that is so negative about us and about the country itself.
Right.
And I thought, we must start with us to change the narrative. We cannot expect people to change the narrative for us. If people are saying what they're saying about Haiti, what are we saying ourselves? And we're not necessarily saying the better because we
Right.
do have problems. So we must be able to change how we talk about each other. So let's celebrate each other, which is why we started the group. And
Hmm.
now this what people are calling show, I call it conversations, candid conversations amongst Creoles. And it's really to expose who we are, who we truly are, the character that we carry with us as Haitian or people of Haitian descent, and it's also friends of Haiti who loves us. And so that can help the narrative that we want to establish reach more people, a broader audience. Because in the private group, it's a small audience. But when we're putting it on YouTube, which is why I ask you permission to post it there, or any other social media channel where I can post, it's going to reach a larger audience. And we trust that eventually, slowly but surely, the universe will do whatever the universe want to do with the work that we're doing here. That's the whole
Right.
point. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So that's why we're here. So and that's how I got to talk to you. And you're a great story, your life story, because we each have a story,
Right.
and your life story is very it's a great one to see how you can redirect your life to accomplish more and then be of service to society. That's
Right.
really amazing. That's really amazing. So you also talked to me about cryptocurrency. You want to tell us more about that? I
Yeah, I could
actually
talk.
have not much. I've been exposed to it myself, but I don't know much about it. And I'm sure there are people who would love to know more as well. What can you tell me?
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about that. So I got introduced to cryptocurrencies in 2017. So
Hmm.
4 years now. So I've been
It's been a
aware.
while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been aware of this space for quite some time now. So I mean, it's a pretty complicated thing in
Yes.
itself. But essentially, cryptocurrency is digital money
Hmm.
that's being tracked, such as the government tracks our money. The digital money is being tracked on something called the blockchain. Have you heard of the blockchain?
Yes. I've been exposed to it. I
Right,
don't know as much as you do, but I've been exposed to it as well.
right. So yeah, that's basically it. It's digital currency. It's just providing new ways for people to trade,
To trade.
money, right,
Yeah.
without government interference. That's kind of the main idea. I want to make sure I get that point across.
Okay.
That's what initiated cryptocurrency, the first one being Bitcoin. It's a decentralized currency, meaning there's no centralization, no government, no regulatory body controlling it.
So tell us what is blockchain, because you can explain it better than I can, by the way, because I'm not involved in it. I just know of it.
Yeah. So blockchain essentially is a digital ledger, right? So anybody who's familiar with the ledger, we know that, well, a ledger in itself can have anything on there, but we're
Yeah.
talking finance, right? We're talking like a financial spreadsheet. What blockchain does essentially is it validates, and Jesus Christ, I'm sorry, my phone is blowing up.
I thought you said you put it on do not disturb.
No, I did. That's my aunt calling. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe your dad told them you're online. I don't know. Your mom told them. I don't know.
Oh, actually, it's my sister's birthday today, and they're trying to
Ah,
surprise her with a cake, but they're telling me this now. They should have told me this morning,
okay, okay, okay.
Anyway, I'm really sorry. I really apologize. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. So back to what we were saying, blockchain,
Yes,
essentially,
on the ledger.
right? It's a ledger, and what the blockchain does is it verifies and it validates transactions, right? So if I'm gonna send you Bitcoin, what the blockchain does is it verifies that I sent it and you received it at this time and this date. That's just long story short to not confuse people. That's what the blockchain does.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So you've been involved since 2017, and
Correct. Yeah,
you still continuing with it. Okay.
correct.
Okay. You also mentioned you have another business. Did you say that?
Yeah,
You have a business partner that you do something else with?
yeah. So I actually just partnered up with one of my best friends last week. So it's actually his
Who's
business, but
telling you? Okay.
right, it's his business, it's his clothing brand. He's very much into fashion and art, design, things like that. So, and he's very popular here in the city of Orlando. So I decided to go ahead and invest in his business. I'm glad you brought this up. So I took this as an opportunity for myself to be an angel investor. This is something where I see myself doing in the future, right? Investing in businesses, owning, buying, selling, trading businesses, and things of that nature. So I saw an opportunity where a close friend of mine, we've known each other for years, even before I went to the Air Force. We know each other from the streets. I saw that, you know, he's doing his thing. He's you know, he's gaining popularity. He's getting his name out there, and that, you know, he wants to start that clothing brand. So I took this opportunity to invest in his business. I asked him where was he at. He said, "Oh, I just need some money to get things going." I said, "How much do you need?" He said, $1,000. So to me, I said, "That's no problem. I can give you $1,000." So we came over the next day. We went to the bank, Wells Fargo, pulled out 1,000 cash, and I gave it to him. So this was me investing in his business, you know, showing him that I believe in him, supporting him. And the deal was that I would be handling his business of the, you know, handling the business element of his brand. But essentially, he decided to make me co-owner of the business, 50-50, where we split the profits moving forward. So that's the new project I have going on right now. Right now, we're working on getting the tax identification number. I do see that being pretty successful in the very near term.
Do you have a written agreement with him?
No, I do not have a written agreement. No, I do not.
Okay.
We do have an agreement in place, but it's not written.
Okay. Okay. I say that because being in business myself, and then I also coach business owners. And what I have experienced with business owners who become partners, when there is no written agreement, there could be confusion.
Right.
And because because everybody here based on their own indoctrination. You know, what I hear when you say something is not what somebody else is going to hear when you say something. We hear
interpretation.
Interpretation, correct. So it's always best when there is something in black and white on paper that it cannot be misinterpreted. Because I can say, this is what we say, this is what we wrote, and this is what we signed on. But when you have it verbal, misinterpretation it's going to happen. And then and because you're building a big business, that's the intention, it's going to become bigger than what you guys discussed today verbally. So you want to make sure, like, you don't address only today, you also you see the long term, so you can build it for the long term, and you have that in paper as well. And also, if one day somebody may wants to exit the company, so let's say you want to exit, what's the decision? How are we going to exit? Because that can happen as well. You know, so because I've actually had a partnership with two other business owners as well. And we had to put all of those things in paper. Had we not done that when they wanted to exit, then we would not have known what to do. And on top of that, everybody has a partner, whether it's a spouse, whether it's a girlfriend, a boyfriend, whatever it may be. Then those people also will give their partner their input. And if it's not written down, what the partners say may influence them to think differently, especially when things are not written down. So and then that's when I was my partnership was being dissolved with those people. That's exactly what happened. But because we had everything in writing, what the partners were saying didn't matter, because we had everything in writing. And then the partnership was dissolved amicably, and it was beautiful. And I can guarantee you, it's because we had it in paper.
Right. No, I agree. Definitely.
Yeah. So that's something I share that with you for something for you to consider because you're a very smart kid. And at the same time, when we're young, we tend to, we're very trusting of our friends
Right.
without
No.
what life can bring, you know, and
Right.
I
No.
think I do. Yeah.
No, definitely. I agree with you 1000%. Wholeheartedly, I agree with you because I've been through, situations that weren't my fault. It was due to somebody else.
Yeah.
This right here, this person I'm speaking of, this is somebody who's like a brother to me.
Yeah.
I don't even consider them a friend, right?
Yeah.
Really like a twin brother. Like we're
Yeah.
the same person, right?
Yeah.
So we will have things in writing in the future, but as of right now, we understand each other. We know exactly where we're like twins. I know it's kind of hard to
No,
believe.
I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. So you know what to do. You know what's
Yeah,
in
I
your
know what to do in the
benefit. And then
situation.
I'm
Yeah.
sure he does too. Is he Haitian as well? Of Haitian
No,
descent? No.
no, he's not Haitian descent. No, but
Okay.
he loves our culture. He actually stopped by my house yesterday with some Haitian food in his hand. He has some legume. He has some.
Oh wow. So he loves our culture. He loves our
Yeah,
culture.
yeah, he
That's
has some legume on him.
that's great. So what the group that we have, I know you haven't been in it for a long time. I like to ask people, how can we grow the group because to reach more people? And I always welcome people's advice in what we're doing as well. I mean, I shared with you what we're doing for the group and for the community. So I would love to get your input as an emerging leader. How can we grow this group to reach more?
Definitely keep doing what you're doing. Somehow, some way, we were able to connect. We know my father set up that play, but obviously, your name, your brand is getting out there, right? So just keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to be promoting as well. I have every incentive to do so. So my advice would be to just keep going. I feel as though you're doing the right things. Obviously, there's more you can learn on the marketing aspect and things of that nature, but those things will come with time. So I say, just keep going.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate
No,
that.
you're doing well. You're doing good.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. And you haven't been to Haiti yet. And I wish you had because I would have asked you, what do you think of Haiti? And I'm sure you're aware of the challenges. Actually, you mentioned that the challenges, not just for COVID, for traveling, the challenges to travel to Haiti today.
Right.
I don't know what it's going to be next year, but for as of today, actually,
Right.
I was looking at the U.S. government site for travel. They say do not travel to Haiti. It's a dangerous
Really?
place to go. Yeah, if
Wow.
you Google it, you open the page, it says they do not recommend American to travel to Haiti. They do not recommend anybody to travel to Haiti because it's a dangerous place. And Haiti does have gangs. People are fleeing Haiti. Haitians are fleeing Haiti. We had over 16,000 reach the United States by foot from South America to the United States. That was 2 weeks ago. And now they have, because those people after the first earthquake moved to South America, and then now South America the life there is not good for them anymore, and they're not gonna go back to Haiti. So they decided to come from South America to the United States by boat, by foot, by whatever mean they found. Really, when I read that story, it takes me back to centuries ago when people were traveling by foot from long distance with children, with their family, pregnant women. It's really, really rough. So when you hear that, and I know you never been to Haiti, you were born here, but as of you're of Haitian descent, what thoughts come to mind, and what advice would you have for Haitian, and how can we do something for the country as a whole? Whether it's from the diaspora side, the people living outside of Haiti, because those who are living in Haiti themselves, they're really trying to flee the country.
I think that's a very loaded question, to be honest. I mean, because there's a lot of work to be done. I think we can agree on that. So my question to you would be, where do we begin? and I know you're more involved in the Haitian community than me. We're doing the right things, right? We're changing the narrative, right? But at the same time, we have to put in the work. We have to better ourselves as a people, and we have to come together and do the right thing. So if that's building schools, so keeping kids out of trouble, there's many things we need to do in order to build a successful society, and I think we just have to do it. We just have to, do the work.
I'm so glad you said, where do we begin? I mean, this is exactly what we all asking. Where do we begin? I had a conversation with somebody last week. His name is Jeanette Neret. He has his company is Haiti on Demand. It's all thing about Haiti, about Haitian. And where do we begin? And then like what he was, and because he had gone to Texas, with the Consulate General of Atlanta for Haiti. They all traveled to Texas to meet with the migrants and also to meet with the immigration enforcement custom, who was also at the border trying to figure out what are we doing with those people. And those people are really, it's a cry for help for the country. So like what Jeanette had mentioned is like, we, the diaspora, has to do more. We have to do more. But yet, where do we begin? And it always start with a conversation. But the conversation, but like you said, and that's why I wanted to ask you, because you're a young kid. Well, you're not a kid, you're a young adult.
Young man.
You're a young adult. You think differently than us,
Right.
And you also were born here, and then you've seen things that I have not seen, that you were brought up here, so you have a different culture mixed with the Haitian culture. Mm-hmm. So it's really empowering to hear what you guys have to say, people of your age. And when you say, where do we begin? It's the first step. That's absolutely right. And to answer that, we begin one conversation at a time. We can make a difference. But then in the conversation, then we takes action as well. And then you mentioned that, like building school, how do we better ourselves to change the narrative? And I have had conversations, candid conversation on this platform with many people who are doing great things in Haiti, but they're living here. Some of them reside in the United States or outside of Haiti. And some of them do reside in Haiti as well. And a lot of them are doing great things. And then the first thing is, of course, the education.
Right.
Because the reason I believe we are where we are today is a lack of education. And there are other things as well. But
many factors.
Education, when you're educated, there are things people cannot do, and then you will not accept it if they do it.
Correct.
So so I like to bring that into the conversation just to see where that takes us. And you brought up a great point. Thank you. And to conclude, is there anything? No, let me ask you this first. Those are questions I ask everyone who I have the pleasure to sit down with. What you're gonna answer with one word? What one word is, just to bring a little fun to it as well?
Yeah.
What one word will you describe your life? What one word can you use to describe your life? Let me phrase it better.
I would say dynamic.
Oh, I like that. Dynamic. I had a team one time. It was the two of us for a business. I had a business partner, and we call it the dynamic duo.
That was the business?
Yes, that was the name of our business. Yeah. Nice. She actually came up with that name. I didn't, but when she said it, I said, I love that. Yeah, that's good. So what one word, you don't know Haiti, but you know a lot of Haiti, correct? Because your parents are Haitian.
Right.
Okay. So what one word will you use to describe Haiti based on what you know?
Misunderstood.
Yeah. That's powerful and so true. So true. Oh, I'm having goosebumps. So true. So true.
Yeah, I speak from the heart.
Yeah, so true. Yeah. Yeah, that got to me. That touched me. That touched me. And what advice would you have for Haitian, specifically? This can be more than a word. You can just tell me in your own words. What advice would you have for Haitian, specifically those who are hoping for something better because and they live in Haiti?
Yeah, I would say to anybody who perhaps is living in Haiti and is hearing this, I would say just stay strong and keep the faith. Um, you know, there's a powerful God that we serve, and I believe that He does the right thing when the time is necessary. So just stay true to yourself, believe in God, do the right thing, and just be strong. Be strong.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't understand because I would hear people say that we don't understand how God is letting that happen, but
Right.
at the same time, it's a mystery. And
God is
at
a
the same
mystery.
time, yeah, God is all about mystery. And at the same
Mhm.
time, we also have to see what we did because we
Right.
created it. You know,
Right.
God did not create it. God is not punishing us. Some people say we're being punished. I totally
Mhm.
don't believe that. We created this. You know, we created this because I look at how it all started. Not to go too far back, it's 35 years ago when Haiti started to go downwards. It was they started to what they called dechoukage at the time, and dechoukage was when they would go inside people's home and then just take over everything. A group of people would just burst into people's home. And then I think after that, it turned into Zenglendoud. I think it was like they were kidnapping people on the street, but there was still some type of like respect for some. And then after that, and then now we're in gangs. And then the gangs just expanded on those that were already happening. It just keeps changing forms and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. So it's yeah, you have, but that's why I said like we and then people close their eyes. Those who could have made a difference from the beginning before it gets to that point, they close their eyes, and then now we are where we are today. Yeah.
Yeah, it's deep. It's
Yeah,
deep.
it's deep. It's deep, and now it's even tougher to tackle because it's really deep. It's really deep. Any last word from you before we close?
No, I just want to say I appreciate you. Hopefully, we will speak again on a platform of this nature. Definitely keep up the good work. You're looking good, looking great, shining, beautiful. So keep being a beacon of light for Haiti.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure we all appreciate that and we receive it as well. And thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you as well. Thank you for accepting my invitation.
Definitely.
And this is Candid Creoles, and we trust you enjoy this conversation. And as always, at the end of the conversation, I like to say peace for Haiti and love for Haiti. And I add blessings to all Haitians, wherever they are.
Peace.
Peace. Thank you, Lloyd. Bye bye.
All right, bye.